3B. Now, today the module is light. It's basically we'll look at a couple of worksheets. So there'll be a bit of a recap. What we have learned so far, we have seen in this module, we learned a bit about national savings. We came to know what is public and private. So national savings is a sum of public and private savings. We already seen components of GDP. We saw how the GDP through the circular economy. We looked at marginal propensity to consume, and we'll discuss that today again. We had a brief overview of factor prices and production function. Now, this is something which you have kept it. There will be a separate module on this. And then we looked at real interest rate and investment. So we know investment now. I mean, what we have learned so far is investment is indirectly related to real interest rate. Let's understand what is an economy's output. We looked at consumption, which depends positively on disposable income, which is Y minus T. We saw investment is inversely related to real interest rates, which we discussed. We saw what is exogenous variables, fiscal policy tools, government purchases and tax, and we also looked at endogenous factors, variables like national savings and investment. Now we'll see as we go forward. The next module is how we are going to be using specifically government purchases and tax to influence national saving. Look at some of the assumptions. Now we have seen we are doing it for a closed economy. We'll also come to an open economy. In a closed economy, NX is equal, which is net exports, which is nothing but net exports minus imports. We saw output is fixed. We looked at factors of production, which is capital and labor. Now this is going to come in a different module. We saw also production technology. We are keeping that production technology is fixed. We are seeing we also know labor forces. We are assuming labor force is fully employed. So we are assuming labor force is fully employed. We till now are ignoring the effects of money and concept. So let's come to the concept of disposable income. We did not look at marginal propensity to consume. Now this is a graph. We know Y minus T, which we know is disposable income. Now C is here MPC, which you know marginal propensity to consume. This varies between 0 to 1. Now when we look at this function, we are plotting on the x-axis disposable income and on the y-axis consumption. Slope of the line, this slope is MPC. So we look at separately a whole module on the slope. Slope is nothing but y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So this, as we see, is quadrant 1. We are considering there are 4 quadrants, and whenever I'm taking coordinates, we are in a two-side plane. The coordinates are given by x and y. So let's say if there is a coordinate here, this could be x1, y1. At that particular this stage, it's x2, y2. Now the difference between the y is this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. Now this is just to show you, and we are going to look at mathematically the whole concept. So when you calculating the slope of the line is calculated mathematically as the coordinate y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So when we look at MPC and we get as a slope of the line, like I mentioned, it's between 0 to 1. So basically it's a factor which will get 0 to 1. So the higher the MPC, now the more the marginal propensity to consume increases, the higher will be the consumption. So tax is something which is decided by the government. We will, as we go forward, and we have assumed that the output is fixed. We have seen the through the output is basically has 2 factors of production, and output is nothing but a function of capital and labor. We are keeping these 2 fixed. So ultimately we are also assuming this model that output is fixed. Now y minus t is nothing but the disposable income. So with this, we have a fair idea of what disposable income is. Now, what view would be, and this is going to be an add-on, we have tutorials which are building in applied economics. So you look at the section on the middle road, you go to www.themiddleroad.org, and in the tutorial section you will get applied economics. Applied economics are complementary to the macroeconomics modules, and along with that we'll also have a bit of a quantitative focus. So whatever quantitative features we are using, some of them will be within the quantitative module. So you'll also have a quantitative module, so that you have a fair understanding of whatever is getting covered in macroeconomics, whatever mathematics part is getting covered, which is also there in applied economics. And so we have seen what is national savings. We saw national savings is equal to investment now, which is the investment demand. So we derived the equation last time, and we'll see this in the numericals. Now the two numericals which are going to be doing, it's lot will depend on how to calculate private saving and public saving. We saw private saving is nothing but y minus t minus c. Y minus t we saw is basically the disposable income which you have minus the consumption will give you private saving, and public saving is nothing but the tax minus the government purchases. Now, so there are a couple of problems. Now this is one. Both problems are from Monque. Now there are a couple of problems. Both of the problems are solved. So you look at it, and this will give you a fair idea of how to calculate what's the difference between national saving, how you calculate, how you are using your concepts. It uses the investment curve, actually the investment demand. So this is a very good example. I would suggest that you look at these two examples. It will give you a fair good knowledge on this topic. So in this example, let's see, the government raises taxes by 100 billion. Now, when you are raising taxes, you are keeping government purchases as constant. We know public saving is tax minus government purchases. Now, since government purchases is keeping constant, there is a direct increase in public saving of 100 billion. So, when we are increasing taxes, we know the disposable income reduces. So, when we are looking at private saving, it's nothing but y minus tax minus consumption. Now this consumption is a consumption function, becomes a function of marginal propensity to consume. But if you look at here, we have increased $100 billion in taxes, which means the consumption, which is the disposable income, reduces by 100 billion. In a way, how much is the saving? So I could also say if marginal propensity to consume is 0.6, the propensity to save is 1 minus marginal propensity to consume, which is 0.4. In other words, if the disposable income has gone down by 100 billion, the private saving has gone down by 40 billion. So there's been a reduction in private saving by $40 billion. Now, the total national saving is nothing but private saving, which is what we have seen is like there's been an increase of 100 billion. So I add this up, and there's been a reduction in private saving. So public saving has increased by 100. There's a reduction in private saving by 40. So total, the national saving has gone up by 60 billion. The question is, what happens to the investment? we have seen is equal to saving. This is equal to 60 million. So how, let's derive it. We know y is equal to c plus I plus g. We are keeping nx is equal to 0. Now I could write this as y minus c minus g equal to investment. Now we convert this, we can also write this as y minus t minus c, which is nothing but private saving, and we have got this factor of tax. Now tax here is the y minus t becomes disposable income, so this becomes private saving plus t minus g becomes public saving. So this is S. So in a way S is equal to R. And we looked at, we have seen this in loanable funds. We saw in number of examples. So the answer would is what happens to when the investment goes up by 60 billion. So investment increases by 60 billion. Now we know y as usual. In this we have certain figure c is equal to I plus g. Now we are given that y is equal to 5,000. We know g is equal to 1,000, and we know t is equal to 1,000. Now c is given by 250 plus 0.75 into y minus t, and we know I is given by 1000 minus 50R. So let's look at the equation right again. We have to calculate what is the private saving, public saving, and national saving. Now private saving, we saw in the previous example, is nothing but y minus t minus c. Now here we can equate the equation for c, which is nothing but y, which is 5,000, minus tax we have seen is 1,000, minus c. C is nothing but, here I've made a bracket, 250 plus 0.75 into y minus t. So y is 5,000 and t is 1,000, so I directly put 4,000. So this could again be written as 4,000 minus 250 plus, now 0.75 can also be written as 3 into 4. This makes it easy, into 4,000. So you don't need to take a calculator. These are very important ratios which you could remember. 1 by 4, to give you an example, is 0.25. So if you remember it that particular way, you can know 3 by 4 would be 0.75. So 4,000 minus 250. Now we know this becomes 3,000. So which will again become 4,000 minus 3,250. So ultimately private saving will come as 750. Now let's look at public saving. We know public saving is nothing but t minus g. T and g are same, so public saving is 0. Now total national saving is equal to public saving plus private saving, which is nothing but, now we know what is public saving. Public saving we saw is 0. We saw private saving is 750. This is total 750. Now $750 billion is what we are looking at in national saving. Now we need to come at an equilibrium. Now when we know at an equilibrium, S is equal to I. So this is a concept which we have repeatedly looked in a demand and supply curve. We've looked at in terms of an equilibrium. When you're plotting two quantities, the two variables have to be equal at a particular point of equilibrium. So if I equate that, we know savings is 750. We have been given an equation for investment. So it becomes 750 is equal to 1000 minus 50R. So this could also be written as 50R is equal to 1000 minus 750 is equal to 250. Now 50R is equal to 250, or R is equal to 5%. What happens when you increase government purchases by things? Now if government purchases rises to, now new figure is 1250, what will happen? Now when we see that in an equation, you don't have to even calculate, you can mentally figure it out. What will happen to the investment? I mean, the investment is going to reduce, because we know that if output is going to be constant, let's say y is equal to I plus c plus g. If government purchases is going to increase with no effect on taxation, other variables remaining constant, the I figure would go down. So we'll look at that. As we look at that, doesn't mean, but it will also mean that interest rates could go up. So let's look at what will be the public saving. Public saving would be tax minus government purchases, which is nothing but 1000 minus 250 is equal to minus 250. So there is a deficit, and this deficit of minus $350 billion, which is, now we come to private saving. We'll see that the private saving will remain same. The reason is because there is no variable of government purchases in private saving. I mean, it does not affect, there's no change in tax, so the disposal income does not change. So we have calculated that figure as $750 billion. So we know total national saving is equal to private saving plus public saving is nothing but 750 minus 250 is equal to 500 billion. So we now have a figure. Now we know at equilibrium interest rate, which is what we're going to be calculating again, S is equal to I. So what is S? S we have calculated, total national saving is $500 billion. The equation we have known is 1000 minus 50R. This is nothing but 50R equal to 500, or R is equal to 10%. So you have a new equilibrium interest rate, and that interest rate is, this is a bit of a light schedule. We talked about supply of loanable funds. Now this is what is going to be coming in. Now this will be very important topic. So this is something you look out for. We'll see the whole effect of fiscal policy. Now when we are talking about fiscal policy on national savings, it is again on the assumptions which we discussed here. So we'll bring forth those assumptions which we have already considered, and that assumptions is required for make up a model. So whenever you're making a model, you make some assumptions. We discuss what are the endogenous variables, what are the exogenous variables. The exogenous variables here which we'll be using will be fiscal policy, and that will be deciding what is nothing national saving. So this becomes endogenous. So this is to give you a fair idea. We'll look at both graphs. With this we come to an end. Suppose this will come to an end of closed economy. We'll have a few, after this module we'll have a couple of questions, worksheet problems, which will keep happening. So you keep on looking at assignments will keep on getting uploaded. I'll keep uploading questions and quizzes. You keep working on them, because it's going to assist you or help you in understanding the module better. Thank you.